The United Nations Security Council has voted in favor of the Donald Trump 20-point Gaza Peace Plan, although both the Hamas and Israel seem to have problems with it. To talk about what it holds in terms of a future for Gaza, we're joined by our guest, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, retired former Director General Infantry in the Indian National Army. Good evening to you, General. What do you make of the prospects for the peace plan now that it has the UNSC's stamp of approval? Even Russia and China did not veto it, they just abstained.
Thank you very much, Gautam. I think at the very outset, of course, a very positive step in case if it is implemented well. Because the very thought of Hamas being disarmed or the entire area being de-radicalized as point one of the Trump's plan was the very first point, talks of de-radicalization of the Gaza Strip to ensure that the neighborhood is good enough. Now that very first step itself is a huge problem because Hamas is not likely to accept disarmament because Israel's first step is that Hamas must be disarmed. Now there's a whole lot of contradictions in the peace plan. Now would Hamas be willing to accept disarming, number one? Would Hamas be able to give up its hold on the Gaza Strip? Now all that is very, very important. Now the Gaza Strip itself, Gaza Strip, the yellow line, the red line, the buffer zone, all of it, how each one of them will keep moving. Even if they have moved in well, the kind of strikes that are still on in Gaza, the things which are still not stabilized in West Bank, you have the Russians coming out with their own plan to say that, of course, they're abstained. Both China and Russia have abstained to say there was no clarity and hence they've abstained. The Russians have come out with a 10-point plan wanting to join the Gaza Strip with the West Bank. No, there are a lot of contradictions, and the international stabilization force which comes into Gaza also now would definitely would have people from Arab countries, the Muslim countries, but they themselves wouldn't feel safe by fighting and firing against the Hamas. Because until and unless Hamas is disarmed, how would they move forward? So there is a lot of work. Of course, Mr. Trump himself seems to feel that he is in charge of the board and that he chaired the board, though the members of the board are not known as yet. But then he claiming in his this thing that he chairs the board, and hopefully funds should flow from the World Bank, which is a part of the UN entity, and all that. Definitely, there is a good thing because out of 15 and 13 and virtual 13 who have voted in favor, who have abstained, and if we can see what one can gauge from what has been going on in Gaza Strip, I think Hamas, until and unless Hamas is disarmed or Hamas as an organization ceases to exist, the possibility of peace over there seems very difficult, extremely difficult, because even when all those, you see the yellow line, the blue line, as I was talking about the green line, the buffer zone, all of it, about the 365 square kilometers of Gaza, 58% is still with Israel, 42% would go to them, to the Palestinians or to the Gaza or to the Hamas, whatever we want to call it. It's still not clear who would be the ones who would be governing Gaza at that time. So it's very, very difficult, but yes, a lot of hope and sincere hope, because obviously the Palestinians want to be free of the kind of problems and the tensions and the agony that they've been going through for 2 years. Netanyahu wants Hamas to be disarmed, and of course US wishes to play a lead role in ensuring that they are brought in peace in West Asia. So with that as the background, yes, but time alone will tell us would this peace plan be successful, because though Americans are threatened to say that if it doesn't, then the ceasefire doesn't hold, and if the ceasefire is not there, then again it's back to square one.
Well, there have been ceasefire violations, but so far it's still holding, so that gives one hope. But the crucial things that still remain missing and make it sound a lot more vague. Of course, there are no timelines as to when would things would be conducive so that Gaza or the entire Palestinian region, including the West Bank and others, perhaps could move towards self-determination. It depends on the Palestinian authorities' reforms, and what kind of reforms should it undergo has also not been specified. Apart from that, we don't know who all will be part of the stabilization force, or the board, or the committee, which the board is supposed to really direct, and the committee is then supposed to handle things directly. So still a lot up in the air, would you say?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot ambiguity, and hopefully with time, but I think the US was insisting and wanting to ensure that at least the UN Security Council stamps it, because the stamping of the peace plan would allow a lot of other things to move. Because the Arabs, the Muslims, everybody have to be taken on board. Each one of them must be a part of the international stabilization force. The World Bank be allowed to give loans so that reconstruction of the Gaza Strip takes place. So there's a lot that can happen, provided there is no firing in the Gaza Strip. That's the first and foremost thing. No firing, and that no firing means disarming of the Hamas. Now, where are Hamas right now? Some people say that still a lot of them are existing in the tunnels. They have in the southern Gaza. So if that be so, then how would it happen? Even yesterday, today, you find a lot of firing going on, and the way the cars are dumping and killing people in the West Bank, the things that are happening on the Gaza Strip. So the tension, well, there will be no war, but I hope there is peace, and not that there is no war and no peace also. Then that is also equally the very purpose. Yes, there may not be any firing, but Israel wouldn't feel safe under these circumstances. The most important thing is that if they want peace, if they want reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, and if they want a two-state solution, which is again a thing, because Netanyahu again and again insists that under no circumstances would he be able to coexist with Palestinians in the same state. So if that be so, it's extremely difficult, because there are, with a two-state solution, Palestinians to be given their right for a state. The real clear, what Hamas is seeming to feel, that there is no clear as yet a promise or even a way forward that there will be a Palestinian state. Now, if that be so, if there is no forward-looking promise of a Palestinian state, the Hamas doesn't find that way. Hamas doesn't see eye to eye with PLO. And the West Bank is supposed to be part of this international stabilization force. Then some good Palestinians will form part of the committee to ensure the peace plan moves forward. There are lots of ifs and buts, and those ifs and buts can only be resolved if Hamas gives up its idea of fighting out at that point of time. Its best is to give up their arms. Reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, that alone would reduce the suffering of the Palestinians. That's part one, and very, very important, because even countries which have sort of gone in with them have stated in no uncertain terms that they are definitely not in agreement with the peace plan, because they would want a clear promise of a Palestinian state, which has not come as yet. But still they are hopeful that at least let the firing stop, let there be a ceasefire, and then let the political process thereafter start. In that context, yes, a big step forward, because after 2 years, Gaza, which has almost been flattened out, there's nothing that really exists in the Gaza Strip. If reconstruction can start, if the Palestinians can feel good, because right now, as what the reports come from there, from the UN Human Rights, that 9 out of 10 children are aggressive. Because of the last 2 years, what they've seen, 9 out of 10 children have started getting this disorder of aggressiveness. It's itself a very sad thing. And therefore, I think peace is a first step. And in that process, probably everyone, 13 out of 15 have voted in favor, hoping that the political process would start. So let's hope. And definitely hope is one thing, and Americans...
Yes, and it can't be done without money. And do you think that today's meeting is also going to be quite critical, the one that will happen in the White House between Donald Trump and MBS?
Yes, definitely, because that is the most important thing. How much Mr. Trump can release, how much can he prevail upon World Bank to give money for reconstruction. If there is a feeling of, yes, Gaza can go back to what it was and golden times of, not that it would actually become a Rivera with what Mr. Trump wants it. If that can happen with Palestinians in charge of it, then of course it's a big yes and a big go. But then if it is not the Palestinians involved in it and some outside forces involved into either the reconstruction or for that matter the stabilization or for that matter running of the Gaza Strip and nothing in hands of the Palestinians, then it seems a little difficult, because Israel would much want peace, and all these 2 years of fighting has been to ensure peace. And if the peace doesn't come, then there may be no war. But if there is no peace also, that's also not good. So if there is no war, there should be peace, and then only the entire area, especially the Palestinians, I can understand the Palestinians have been fighting for their right in a Palestinian state, and the world accept a two-state solution. And if that is acceptable to the Israelis in a manner in which both of them can coexist, so be it, and it would be good. But then it seems very difficult to what we have seen since 1947 and now till date, that it is not an easy thing. But hope is the only thing that can take every one of us moving forward with American support, American finance, and the world hoping that they would be part of the international stabilization force, with Arabs part
Yes.
of it, Muslims
Well,
part
American
of it.
finance, I don't know, it's not really clear where the money will come from. Donald Trump seems to be counting on the other oil-rich Arab states, like Saudi Arabia, to contribute. I don't know how much money will the World Bank give. It will oversee perhaps the trust itself in terms of how the money is managed. But all this again is not specified. One can only hope that things work out. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, General Kulkarni.